For some, the assassination of police partners Wenjian and Rafael Ramos is unspeakable and unbearable. But it brings others back to the 70s when New York police assassinations were carried out by a group called the Black Liberation Army. Partners Joseph Piagentini and Waverly Jones shot from behind while on foot on patrol May 21, 1971. And partners Gregory Foster and Rocco Lurie were walking their patrol beat when 3 or 4 suspects walked past them, spun around, and shot them in the backs. A Valentine's Day Massacre, 1972. Are police just like in the 70s once again under siege? Vernon Geberth is a retired NYPD homicide commander, and he joins me now. You're not only a retired NYPD homicide commander, you are a legend, Vern, in the New York City Police Department. You've written several books on homicide. You're the man, all right? Tell me about the 70s. What was going on then?
Judge, when this thing happened the other day, it hit me like a brick in the head. It immediately sent me back to my days as a young detective. I was at the scene of the machine gunning of Thomas Curry and Nicholas Benetti, who were on guard duty outside Frank Hogan's house. By some miracle, they lived. That was the beginning of this assault. 2 days after Curry and Benetti were shot, Piagentini and Jones were killed at the Harlem projects. We were under siege.
Why? What was going on then? Bring us back.
Well, we had a weak mayor. We had John Lindsay. We had a police commissioner that was out to lunch. He was more concerned about things that had nothing to do with police work. And having been a detective at the time, then a sergeant, and eventually a detective sergeant, these were really, really horrible times. And to think that we're going back because of this anti-cop rhetoric being espoused by people who are supposed to be leaders is disgusting. That was disgusting. I thought Patrick Lynch made a very good statement, but he didn't have to drop it at City Hall. He should have dropped it at the White House. Because 3 months ago, when President Obama and Eric Holder interjected themselves into that Ferguson, Missouri situation, they caused nothing but havoc. And when the grand jury that heard the facts and not the hyperbole came back with a non-true bill, they didn't like the outcome. They said the system was broken.
But
how could a Harvard attorney not like the outcome?
Well, yeah, but you know what else is amazing? If you think about it, he did the Trayvon Martin thing, and he said, you know, we're going to have a Justice Department investigation, a civil rights investigation. Whatever happened with Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman, in that investigation? Nothing, because there was nothing there.
But they're making it there. The problem is, if you tell a lie long enough, it becomes the truth. If you want to inflame the passions, you know, I talk about how Muslims get radicalized in this country. That Ishmael Abdullah Brimsley was radicalized by the anti-cop rhetoric of de Blasio, Sharpton, Obama, and Holder.
And by the way, just in case our audience doesn't know, I mean, he's a rap sheet a mile long. I mean, he was 28 years old, and, you know, the kid's a thug. It's just like I said in my opening.
Mayor Giuliani said it before, I'll say it again. These are criminal acts, not racial acts.
Right.
To twist it into a racial situation is outrageous. And the problem is, liberal media like CNN gives them a bully pulpit, so a guy like Al Sharpton, who's a fraud, is suddenly an ambassador, gets invited to the White House.
Well, he's sitting at the Citadel of Power, and shame on us. But I want to read something to you. There is the Officer Down Memorial page, which says that in 2013 there were something like 30 law enforcement officers killed by gunfire. All right. 2014, the number is 46, and they say that there is a 53% increase between last year and the shooting deaths of police and this year.
Well, I have to go back to what's being told by the leaders. If you put out this anti-cop rhetoric and you tell people that the police are your enemy,
okay, so what do we do? How did we get out of it in the 70s? Is that when everybody was saying cops are pigs, they're pigs, they're pigs, and all that?
I was called a pig many, many times. We're not the pigs. We're the safe. We're the safeguards. We're the shepherds that protect people. Well, we get out of it by holding these politicians to task for the words that they use. What
are you going to do to the President of the United States? What are you going to do to the guy?
No,
I mean, every week I talk about him.
I think it doesn't matter. I think that the general public is disgusted with this race of divisiveness that has taken place. A lot of people voted for President Obama as the first African American with the idea that this would be good.
That it was over for good.
Well, guess what? It turned out to be bad because he has an agenda, Eric Holder has an agenda, and somehow Al Sharpton, who you and I both know him, we know where he comes from. Back in Tawana Brawley, we were involved with that.
Yep.
Look where he is today. He's been given ambassadorship.
Well, you know, he was sued for defamation, and they had a judgment against him. He refused to pay it. Can you imagine if you did that? But let's talk about if you hold them accountable, what do you think is going to happen with the NYPD now? You've got Pat Lynch and those guys. That anger is palpable. You can feel it.
Well, I was interviewed by the BBC that thought that Pat Lynch's remarks were very provocative. I said, what could be more provocative than what do we want dead cops? When do we want them now? That's not provocative.
Yeah.
And I told my son to watch out for the police because you're going to get hurt. This is craziness.
Yeah. And they attribute some of the decisions by grand juries to centuries of racism. What century are they living in?
Listen, this is a Harvard attorney. He knows how the grand jury system works. You were the district attorney of Westchester County.
Yeah.
The grand jury did not hear the rhetoric. They heard the facts.
The facts.
And the facts were a no true bill.
All right, Vernon Geberth, always good to see you.
Thanks
for
Judge.
being with us.
Okay.
And up next, police morale and are you safe if they're busy watching their backs? Stay with us.
We love